Our next speakers, Daniel Caudill is the creative director of what is undeniably an American manufacturing revival story. He oversees the creative vision for all facets of brand and product development at Detroit's Shinola, a former shoe polish company which closed its doors in the mid-20th century and which now creates some of the world's finest watches, bicycles, and audiophile-grade turntables, among other beautifully handcrafted products. Harnessing more than 20 years of experience in the areas of apparel, accessory design and development, as well as styling and brand consulting for companies such as Adidas, Old Navy, and Fossil, he has reshaped the brand into a symbol of precision and high quality and showed why Detroit is the epicenter of an American manufacturing renaissance. Scott Yaeger has over 30 years in the bike world, spanning development, design, and marketing for brands such as Bianchi, Spot Brands, Swobo Bikes, and Suntour Components. Scott Yaeger is a pioneering female in a heavily male-dominated industry. Yaeger's master's in fine arts is evident in the aesthetic of her precisely crafted bike designs. She joined Shinola in 2012 to take the helm in production and design of the company's line of Detroit-assembled steel bikes, making them some of the most sought-after forms of human-propelled transportation today. I'm thrilled to have them both here today, but first, let's take a look inside Shinola.
The question isn't why you built a watch factory in Detroit, it's why you built one anywhere else. This is the city that made this country, with its steel, with its skill, with its labor. Reestablishing trades that haven't been seen in this country in a generation or more. It's a tall order to return to form, but it's what hundreds of Shinola employees work towards every day here in Detroit, where we believe in the beauty of industry, the glory of manufacturing. Shinola.
I called you Daniel. Daniel. We're going to hang out with Daniel for a minute. Sky's going to come out shortly. How are you doing? You came all the way from Detroit today.
I did.
Thank you for doing that.
Oh my gosh, no, thank you for
Hey, thanks
being
for everybody
here.
for traveling.
Thank you for letting us be here.
Awesome. There's a lot to talk about in terms of your creative philosophy, how you lead, but there's an incredible story of what's happened just in this company and what you've done in Detroit and this resurgence of manufacturing. Take us through how that began. And
how the company started?
Yeah, how that just restarted here in Detroit.
Well, the first, it was all about that watch factory and building the factory, and we were looking for a place in the United States that had a history of manufacturing, small componentry, manufacturing, line manufacturing, and Detroit was sort of a natural place for us to start. And we went there for the first time, and you just sort of fall in love with the city and the people, and we just kept going back, and as soon as the factory was built out, the company just started building around it.
Amazing, but you took you went and found all these out of work people that were in the manufacturing world, brought them back in, retrained them. What was that like? What did it do to their hearts and souls? How has that revitalized the area?
Well, there's a million stories.
Yeah.
Not a million. There's 670 stories maybe. But the first 13 line employees that we hired are all still with the company and have since moved on to different parts of the company, leading different parts of the company. But every single one of them have a different story, whether it's the auto industry or pizza delivery or out of work or a nail technician. Wow. And I think one of the philosophies of the company is it's not about hiring someone who has done that job so many times or has done it for years. It's really about finding the right type of person, someone who really believes in the brand and believes in the mission, and you can teach someone how to sell a watch or how to build a watch, but you can't teach someone how to be nice, or that's sort of the philosophy of hiring. So there's a million stories around all the people involved in the brand.
When you think about that creative spirit and the people that you're looking to hire in that way, are you thinking about it the same way? Are you pulling people in from all different walks of life and creativity, or are you looking for certain kinds of people?
Pulling people from all different walks of life. I think that one of the amazing things about this company in particular is there's so much opportunity. There's so much opportunity in Detroit. There's so much opportunity in the brand itself, that it's not about, there's people that have literally were pizza delivery people, and now they're, they have 10 people working over them or under them in incoming quality controller. There's just, every story is so different, but it's all, the thread is that it's about the type of person.
Anything that kind of gets you when you think of any particular story?
I'll probably get emotional if I do.
Go for it. Come on. I want to be more like Oprah.
Well, you'll get me to cry, but you won't get Sky to cry.
Okay,
So,
that's what I heard about her.
there's a million of them. Like Titus, who was one of our first 13 people, he went to my boss, who was the founder, after about a year, and he said, "Thank you so much, because I'm able to put my children in a better school." And there's just story after story like that of just, it's about people, and it really, that's what has built Shinola, is this amazing group of people that have come together, like Sky, who, people that are experts in their field, or people that are just driven and want to be a part of this brand and work really hard to create what we've created.
So pride, big part of the culture.
Yeah, it's a huge part of our just sort of corporate philosophy is, how do we make people proud of where they work? Because I think that, to make a place where the best place in the world to work is not about money. It's really about being proud of where you work and proud of what you're doing in your community, proud of what you're doing within the company. So we focus on that a lot.
Awesome. What's your story?
It sounds really kind of like a little corny, but it's true.
Nothing corny about it. I think we need more corn in a lot of what we do. I think we need more of that.
We need more
corn. Why
corn.
do you come to work?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's, having the opportunity to work there and be excited to go to work every day, and on Sunday afternoon, not dreading that you have to go to work, but you're excited that you get to go to work tomorrow, is an amazing feeling.
I believe it. The reason I love coming to work is everybody sitting here. I mean, we love working with each other, sharing with each other, going through the tough times together, and
Because work has to be fun too,
It's gotta be.
We have an amazing time.
Awesome. What's your story? Where did you all begin? When did you figure out that what you wanted to do was create and make things out of nothing? And
I don't know, 9 maybe.
yeah, tell us about it.
I just have always sort of been into design, making things my whole life. I went to design school, Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising, which is here in San Francisco. I went to the LA campus. Started working in design really right after school. At LA Gear was my first job. And from then went on from design, worked at Adidas for about 6 years in design, accessory design. And then I started styling just by fluke, photo shoots, celebrity style, personal styling, red carpet. Started doing a lot of music videos and commercials, and there I started doing, working with some larger brands, doing some consulting, brand consulting, and met the owner, the founder, and we just started talking about, his goal was always to bring a factory and build a factory in the United States, and that was his dream. And we just started talking about what does an American company look like? What's the look and feel? And I just started building a little, for a couple days at a time, I'd just start building the look and feel around what this brand would look like, while he started working on building the factory and finding, what he needed to do to build that factory. And it just slowly built from there.
You got a lot of things that you make. I mean, the whole theme of our show kind of ricochets throughout everything that you're building. You're taking these things, these ideas from the past, you're bringing them back to life. Was that always part of your initial discussions, everything that you were going to do? Is this just this in your mind? Is this in your heart? Was that in his? Well, how did this all come to be?
Well, it all really started with watches, and then the idea of, that second category, because we've always seen that this company was much more than just a watch company. It really is a multi-category brand. And that second category was such an important next step for people to identify the company not just as a watch company. So bikes were the second category. And it was really important that they be exceptional. And so Sky was, So Sky, I'll tell this story before she comes out because
Do
she'll
it.
yell at me. So Sky is a rock star. If anyone in the bike industry, you say Sky Yaeger, everyone knows who she is. And we were telling people we wanted to start a bike category. And so they said, oh, talk to Sky. Sky's the person. And we wanted to do it in the United States. So Jacques, who is our president, called Sky and said, this is what we're doing. This is what we want to do. And Sky said, you can't do it in the United States, and hung up on him. And so all roads kept leading to Sky, so called her again, and she hung up again. So a few weeks later, she calls back and says, okay, I think we can do this, but this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it, and laid it all out. And then about 3 months into it, she said, okay, so you're going to hire me full time, and this is what we're going to do, and this is what's going to happen. And it worked. So it was always about a multi-category brand, but bikes was sort of that one that made sure, because they're so disparate, watches and bikes, people thought we were insane. The first question was always, why watches and bikes?
I love that ad that you put out. I remember getting the Apple Watch. Sorry, I don't have one of your watches on right now. But you did an ad that was just so funny and just so perfectly targeted at that time. That said, a watch so advanced, I can't remember the exact word, so advanced you could tell the time just by looking at it.
Yeah.
And that was such a great ad when this launched. And that really got me to really notice your company.
We've done that a few times. I think that, there's, on one side, it is all about quality, and it is about building a quality product first, always. Mm-hmm. But there is an irreverence to the brand and some humor to the brand. When Detroit filed bankruptcy, we did an ad in the New York Times that said, for those of you who think, for those of you who have written off Detroit, we give you the birdie. And we had a watch in our line called the Birdie, so we just did a picture of the brand, of the watch. So.
That's great. You sound like you're just having a great time there.
Oh, it's amazing.
What's different? What's so special about that place? Is it organic to bringing those people together? Is it because the leader is just so focused on making this happen? Is it you and your design philosophy?
It's me.
It's you.
Yeah.
I knew it. I was trying to bait him into that.
Yeah, no, it's me. No, it's me. No, it really is the people, and I really think that I think that when you hire or when you look for like-minded people, you end up having just an amazing synergy. And I've seen it successful in the company. I've seen it not when people join and maybe they don't have the same sort of ideals or philosophy, that they're just not as successful and it's just not a right fit. But when you do, it's so easy and so fun, Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Do you have a design philosophy? I know you missed Jay this morning, but he laid out like a master class of how he thinks and how he takes his designers through things. But do you have something, the ingredients of something that has to be in place for a product from Shinola to really come to life?
I think that, we are always looking for simplicity and function. It's always about, first, how you're going to use the product. We always try and create product that you need, mm-hmm. That you'll use. So we really focus on the function of product, which kind of, in some categories, is a little heavier than others. In leather goods, it is really how you're going to use it and what you're using it for. And we try and just create the simplest product. I think we have a lifetime guarantee on watches, mm-hmm. which is a kind of a daunting task when you're in design. We're going to create watches that you'll be able to wear for years. But we have to create watches that you're going to want to wear for years. So this idea of classic simplicity that will be around forever, that you'll want to wear this 5, 10, 20 years from now. So I think that's always that is the filter everything goes through.
How do you bring customers into the decisions to do things and to get their feedback and to obsess over what their wants and needs are?
Well, we're still a very small company. We're still a bit of a startup. I think that when you're in our offices, it still feels very bootstrappy and like a small company. And I think that it depends on this. If you're a merchandiser or a planner, there's different things, focus groups or whatever, that we look at. On the design side, we kind of stay in a little bit of a bubble and stay in our bubble.
You design things that you love, and then you push them out, wear it, or forget about it.
Yeah. And that was when the company started. It was really about creating something that we were really proud of, that we thought was amazing, and standing behind that. And when I think the first instance when we started to launch, it's kind of like, I hope this works. There was a little bit of that where you just didn't know. And I think the first one was actually with a bike, and we had some press in our New York office, and we had very technical bike people in, and we had fashion people in, and both liked the bike equally because it was beautiful and because of how it was made, the quality of the product, which I think is an amazing. To me, I was very proud at that moment of being able to join those two because it's not easy.
It's amazing. Any insight you can give us on some major mistake that's ever happened to you, where you're like, something happened, horrible mistake, but you learned so much from it? Either present, past, future, whatever.
Why would I tell you that?
Yeah, we just need to know.
I think that there are a few things in the brand that have never seen the light of day because, we've developed a few different things that just didn't seem right, that weren't perfect, and they just didn't get launched. We developed denim for a while and thought that denim might be something that could fit within our product offering, and it was just never. It was good, but it wasn't perfect, so we just put it on hold. So I think there's a few instances like that where, at the end of the day, the product has to be amazing.
Yeah, and was that because you didn't like what you turned out, or that it was something you shouldn't have done to begin with?
I think it was because it was something that we shouldn't have done to begin with, because I think that, it's not just about creating the product, it's about supporting sales and supporting, at retail and everything else. And all those components weren't in place. And then when you look at the product offering, we do see, one day we will make a toaster. We're making clocks, we're making all sorts of things. So, but sometimes some things just don't fit.
What's your most fun thing that you're making right now that you're thinking about? Can you tell us something that's coming that you might not?
The headphones.
The headphones.
They're so amazing.
Yeah. Tell us about them.
So Sky Yaeger, because Sky's here, it's a good reference. Sky is an expert in the bike industry and manufacturing and design. And, our founder, Tom, all the time says we don't know shit from Shinola about bikes.
Right.
But we're smart enough to know that we need Sky. And so Sky created this program. And in the audio category, Alex Rawson, who is just a lifelong audio, everything from sound to manufacturing, and he helped create Odyssey headphones, and he is our partner in the manufacturing side of our headphones and turntables. And the quality that is in the product is amazing. And I'm not an audiophile at all, but to have him walk you through it and then understand what's behind it, it's just, the sound is unbelievable. And they're absolutely beautiful.
And these are plug-in, or are these wireless? What are you going to have?
They're plug-in.
Plug-in.
Yeah.
Going old school.
We're very old school.
Right into the turntable.
Yeah. They're really cool.
So what goes on? Do you have DJs inside using the turntables, playing. We have DJs in our lobbies every Monday morning when you come.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Well, we have, so the audio factory is in our, like, really close to my desk. And so they test every turntable that's going out. So they're blasting music they start at 7. So from 7 to 3, they're blasting music all day, playing turntables. So we have a DJ, it's just a little different.
He's a product tester. What else in terms of people? What do you look for when you're looking through a portfolio or you're talking to somebody? What is that quintessential designer, creative person of today that just you're like, oh, I got to get this person here?
You know, we're lucky enough to have the College for Creative Studies in our building.
Great.
And so we are involved in classes there. We've sponsored classes. We have interns quite a bit. And we've hired interns. That spark of creativity and excitement and the idea that anything is possible is something that's inspiring. I'm not young, but to be around young people is inspiring. And it makes you young. And I think it's just the idea that anything is possible. To build a watch factory in the United States is not anything anyone would do. It's kind of a crazy idea. It really is to this scale. But it worked, and it only worked because people believed in it. And you can literally do anything in this country. You can do anything.
Yeah.
And if you believe that, you can do it.
So in terms of when you're meeting young people, it's like you see that raw talent. They have not hit walls yet.
Right.
You can nurture that and bring that to life.
And I think mentorship is
Yeah.
a huge part of that relationship and making sure that guiding that raw talent and putting them on a positive path, whether their future is with us or not. It's really about nurturing raw talent. And I think we're really lucky to have a lot of amazing, talented designers with us, that some young, some not so young.
How do you, and I always struggle with this a lot, where I'll be with a young designer or a young creative, and I can see them about to make a mistake that I've done 30 times already. And I've never done the same mistake twice, by the way. Yeah.
You let them just walk off.
And you know you have to let them see that and have that moment, but you also don't want them to go so far that they get jaded and hurt. How do you handle that?
I mean, for me, I try and lead by my experience, but some people just have to have those mistakes, you know. But you still, as long as you tell them and they make informed decisions, I think there's nothing you can do but let them fail.
How's life in Detroit? Where'd you move from before? Were you in LA?
I was in LA,
Yeah.
and I moved from there to Dallas, and we started the company in Dallas.
We did, okay.
The idea was never really to build the company in Detroit. It was really about the factory, and then once the factory was built, it was just sort of a natural things just built from there. So as soon as the factory opened, I moved to Detroit. So I've been there 4.5 years.
Awesome. How are you liking it?
I love it. It's amazing. It's an amazing city, and I feel so lucky to be a part of what's happening there. Just music and food and art and culture and people. It's an amazing time to be there, and I feel lucky to be a part of that.
I think there was a time when we didn't think there'd be a rebirth there, but it is kind of happening.
Yeah, well, I mean, Detroit is such a huge city. It's 30 square miles.
Wow.
So the resurgence is really in a really small area, but, you know, hopefully, you know, you have to start somewhere. So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of this where you can go into the past in Detroit. There's a lot of history there that you can bring that forward, right?
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, one of the amazing things about the city is that not a lot of money has been put into the infrastructure for so many years, that there are just unbelievably beautiful untouched buildings and architecture and art, and just being able to be a part of it and see it is it's really cool.
That's got to be inspiring.
Yeah, it's an amazing city.
We do. We got 2 minutes. We're going to bring out Sky here in a minute.
Great.
Last thought before we bring out Sky. Any other thing you want to tell us about her? Let's embarrass her.
No, she loves to talk and she loves speaking engagements, so I think we should just let her go up there by herself. She would love that.
Well, that's great. So we're going to bring Sky out now. We're going to talk to Sky, and then we'll open up some questions for everybody else. But before we bring Sky out, let's watch a quick film about making bikes.
We're committed to the idea of making bikes in America. It's perfect for Shinola to be associated with an American icon like Waterford.
Bicycles are a great way to learn technology. They're one of the most demanding examples of any technology that's out there. We come closer with our steel bikes to the technological limit of bicycle design.
Waterford is it's a small shop. Everything's all one-off. It's very interesting to be able to come here and actually see your bike, if you wanted to, being made.
They don't see the guys' welds, they don't see the miters, they don't see all the little details, the way the tubes have to be cut, the way the little brazones are fitted on. A lot of that just goes away when you paint the frame. The integrity of the welder is very important. The experience of the welder is very important. And Shinola only wants to bring to market high quality products. So we feel really lucky to be able to make frames here.
Well, we have two models of bicycles by Shinola. The Runwell is the flagship model. It's a lugged steel frame, and it has an 11-speed drivetrain on it. The other bike is the Bixby. It's a 3-speed, and it's a TIG welded frame, so it's a little more shapely. It's got the curved top tube, and then it has a 3-speed internal hump.
We want people to look at their bikes not just as a ride, but as an investment. Our ability to produce bikes in larger quantities like we're doing for Shinola are terrific. That's something that makes us really excited. That's what makes this project really special.
This is about love, right?
Passion.
Yeah. What's it like watching these bikes come together when you hung up on them 3 times?
Only twice.
Twice, sorry.
Yeah.
Daniel failed to mention something really key. They had said they were making bikes in America and they wanted all the parts to be American, and
That's just semantics.
I knew the supply chain, and
Yeah.
so I didn't actually hang up, but I hung up the phone and said I didn't think it was possible. So
Right.
then I went for a bike ride, and I started to think about it, and so I called Jacques back and I said, tell me more about this, because the company hadn't been born yet. I Googled Shinola and there was nothing. There was
Right.
just some old shoe polish cans on the internet. So I'm like, who are these people? I mean, they want to
Who do they think they are?
they want to make bikes and watches, you know. So this was key to the whole story. Is I flew to Texas, and if Daniel was involved in that, I don't know. But when I saw the actual office and the first mock-ups of the watches, I was like,
Whoa.
Yo.
whoa.
Her heart stopped, and you felt it. Yeah.
The design language, the integrity of the design, the way the office was built out, it was like I went home. It was like this is what these people get it, and whatever we do, I want to be involved in it. And that was really the moment for me when I saw the office, and I saw the very first ideas for the watches. And I don't know if you designed the building or. There you go.
What did you have to do with any of that? Did you design the building?
I designed our offices.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. That must have been
Steel, wood,
fun. Is
just
it the first time you designed like an office?
Yeah. But the idea was not to create an office
whatever you want to call it.
Well, I mean, it's really to create an environment
Right.
that was comfortable and inviting, and which is, you know, what we do with our stores and what we do with our, you know, that thread goes through everything.
Yeah.
We think about every single part of the brand, you know, not just what the consumer sees, but, you know, what we see and what we live with every day. So it's, you know, whether it's the trash can in the office or, you know, it's the fixtures in the store, it's all the same.
And that spoke to you. You're like, I
Yeah, I
have
mean,
to work
office,
here.
you get a sense of, you know, a conventional, it wasn't like that. It's exposed brick, it's steel, it's I-beams, it's wood, it's, you know, you'd want to work there.
Yeah.
And that's how you feel when you go into the offices in Detroit. You just want to be there.
Yeah.
Because you can tell that these people care about how the product looks and how it's made.
So many people skip that part, right? We're making great products, but yet our offices are uninspiring, right? And that connecting all those dots is really when you let people know this is a total thing, that we think about everything, and therefore everything has to work every step of the way.
But then the consumer feels it, you know.
Yeah.
If we feel that way and if we hold the product a certain way and we revere the product a certain way, then so will everyone else in the office, and then so will the consumer.
Everybody in the world needs to hear this right now. So many people skip that part. You know, that is so true. When
Very
did this
holistic.
love for bikes start for you? Do you have to go back to the first time you get on one?
Yeah, I think the freedom,
Tell us about it.
freedom of riding.
Yeah.
And then there's just, I'm fascinated by the technical side of it. I love the engineering side of it. So it's a combination of riding and then the whole culture of cycling and then the ability to actually have something, cause something to be made. You know,
Yeah.
actually see your designs come to, you know, and have someone riding them. It's immensely rewarding, and you know, I feel like the luckiest person in the world.
How do you two work together?
We don't.
It's difficult.
Hate each other.
It's pretty easy. I mean, it's easy for me.
Once he figured out he had to leave me alone.
Yeah.
This guy seems like he's so chilled out. Is this what he's really like all day long? Does he
Yeah.
does he get riled up?
It's the day drinking, really.
Yeah. Pretty much. No, I'm pretty much monotone the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm probably the most boring speaker you know.
Best laughs.
But I mean, we have an amazing relationship, and we have from day one. And I think that, you know, when you, like I said, when you get people together that have a common goal and everyone is on the same level, it's very easy to work together. There's always times where you don't agree, but at the end of the day, it really is. At the end of it, it's about product.
But it's mutual respect.
Yeah, 100%.
When you were coming up through the ranks and making bikes, and you were surrounded by men, and you're like, are you the only woman in there doing this kind of thing? What did that feel like? Did you ever even think about it, or you just go? What's your story in that department?
You know, I don't want to say it was easy, but I realized if I knew my stuff and I could hold my own with the engineering side, that there was respect. But you have to know what you're doing. It's a technical field, and it's male-dominated, so.
Did you have to love it so crazy much more than to just get through that?
You know, I was a racer originally, and so if we went for a ride and I could stay on their wheel, you know, that gets you a ton of respect, too, if you can just stay on their wheel.
That's great.
That should be the theme for today. Just stay on their wheel.
Take us through when you came aboard. What was the most fun part for you? The design, watching the first bike roll out, getting on it. Take us through what parts of this were like, oh, I love this.
Well, it's always fun to have a blank sheet of paper.
Yeah.
And also the brand was being born. So, you know, I worked for an Italian company that was 100 and some years old, and there was very strict guidelines on, you know, the logos and, you know, just what you could do within the brand. And here it was, we're starting a new company. We're going to have a new, you know, new brand bikes, I guess. So to see the first bikes actually was just December of 2012. So they were 9 months in development. And we hadn't had our website out yet or our store open. So I was like, let's get these bikes out, you know. It was really exciting to see them. And we assemble them in our first facility right next to the offices, so everybody could just see all the bikes being made. So it's immensely rewarding to see something like that and then somebody take it outside and ride it, you know, something that hadn't existed before.
Right. And you mix two things. In many ways, highly futuristic in the materials, yet the design and the way they're built, not. And tell us about that, because that's really kind of the theme of the show in many ways, looking back, bringing those older designs, making them new again.
Well, we're using steel, which, you know, has been welded to make bike frames for 130 some years.
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry.
No, I was just talking about the design. You weren't making the
Oh.
most futuristic
No, I mean,
kind of bikes. You were making something that harkened back to just
I can't
another
remember
time.
who said that good design is a process of elimination. Was it?
It was probably him.
It's probably.
Yes, pardon me.
I don't want to diminish like the process, but it was
Sure.
almost a process of elimination, because of in the bike industry there's roughly 3 categories. There's road, mountain, and urban,
Yeah.
for, you know, and then there's subcategories. So we knew we couldn't compete in the race arena or the mountain arena. So it had to be an urban style of bike. So that eliminated carbon fiber right there. We had to make the frame in the US, which at that time there was only steel being welded. So that meant we had to make it out of steel. And then with steel you get round tubes. You can't form them like you can with aluminum or carbon. So you got a round tube, you got a steel frame, so how do we make it unique? How do we make it Shinola? And that's the design process.
In many ways, you kind of use limitations. You had, okay, we're using this is what we can do, here's how we're going to work around this.
It's
How do
very
we make
different from if you're developing say a carbon fiber bike that's going to be raced in the Tour de France. You've got, you know, you can lay up the carbon in all these different ways, and you can have shapes that just are insane, which you can't do that with steel. So
What's next? What's next for you? What can you tell us about what's coming?
we just
Without,
launched
There's one, it's in the rotation.
we just launched a bike with an electric wheel.
Oh, yeah.
So that video was done in 2013. We have another model, and then we've done a lot of custom models for different entities like the Wright brothers and the Detroit Lions and Filson. And there's a bike with a real big red hub that you see. That's the Detroit Aero. And there's the motor, the torque sensor, and the battery all in the hub.
Wow.
So
It's so fun. It really is.
How
It's
fast
so
are we going to be
fun.
able to go without pedaling? That's what everybody is thinking about right now.
The U.S. limit for an unlicensed vehicle, as they're called, is 20 miles an hour. So this
is.
bike right here,
Oh, great. That's beautiful.
it's limited to 20 without a throttle. So it's the torque assist.
That's great.
And it's you get on it and you just start laughing because
You really do.
It's-
You get on and all of a sudden you're just like, your heart lightens. It's so fun.
all the objections that you have to riding, like I actually have to work, like to make this go forward. I have to wear funny clothes, blah, blah, blah. All that goes away.
How many people just want to go work at this place? I mean, seriously. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, you're a testament to creating the environment where people can create, giving them the freedom,
Yeah.
and being able to say, hey, maybe we might screw this up, but let's just do what we love. Isn't that really the secret?
Yeah.
Do what you love.
And you make great things.
Yeah.
I think when you have a story that's so compelling, of say 670 people that, let's say in Detroit, what percentage of that they didn't have a job or they were looking for a job, or like Daniel said, their children can go to a better school. I mean, there's so many assets to the story that emotionally resonate with the folks that want to come work there. I mean, it's a mission that you can believe in. We're just not making widgets.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's the most compelling thing about it. And then there's you know, the end result, which shows the attention to detail with the design language that, you know, you can't deny.
No, not at all. You can't deny it. Hey, how about some questions? Get some questions ready out there. I'll turn to you in a minute or so. What was I going to ask? I lost my train of thought in just the beauty of what you just said, because I think every one of us wants to work in that environment. We have moments, and you both know you've been in places where you didn't have that, which led you to today. And that is just beautiful to hear that story. Any particular story of any individual that sticks out for you?
It's like Daniel said, it's you know, you will start crying, you know.
Go ahead.
Cry, Sky.
Come on, Sky, cry. I got a pool going.
Cry.
I was trying to get Jay Mays to cry, but no
Anyway,
chance.
yeah, he's tough.
All right, hey, how about some questions?
Right here.
Can't see. Go ahead. Tell us your name, what you do.
My name is Alder. I'm with Chibo, a partner agency with,
Oh, yeah.
with
Hey,
Salesforce.
thanks for all you do for us, guys.
Pleasure. I was wondering if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the tenets of the Shinola brand. We obviously see how it manifests visually, but what are some of the words that you use to describe what Shinola means to people and how that's embodied in the experience? And then secondarily, how do you communicate that to all 670 of those employees? What's the right way to do that for your culture, and how did you choose that?
It's interesting, we're just kind of going through this exercise now, because when it's a much smaller group, it's easier because you're all together. And as we're growing, you know, Watch Factory starts to, you know, we go to lunch together, and so you have to find ways to bring people together. And one of our internal sayings is "We are one," which is really what we believe and how we sort of do business together. And so we do everything we can, whether it's through company picnic or making sure that, you know, we have a central cafeteria for everyone and everyone's eating together. We try and do it in so many different ways. Did that answer the question?
I think you need Salesforce. I'm going to get you more collaborative. Go ahead.
I mean, the community outreach and involvement is key.
Yeah.
Water, volunteering our water for the Flint folks. You know, being involved in the schools with kids at Christmas that, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much of that going on that, you know, it's hard to summarize.
We have a group that I lead within the company. It's called Reach, and it's a person from every single different part of the company, and it's literally how can we make this the best place in the world to work, and it's what are we doing outside of the company, what are we doing to help lift our employees up, what are we doing to bring them together, and we meet every week and just concentrate on, you know, how do we make this a better place and do an amazing job.
Good citizens of Detroit.
Yeah.
Huge part of the group of people sitting here today. If you look at any employee survey, that's one of the main, if not the main reason why they love working here. It's the giving back. Yeah. Everybody gets 7 days off a year to go do whatever they want, to go volunteer in something that matters to them. And that has been
really
just
cool.
a hallmark of our company. And as I travel the world and talk to all our different customers, the companies that have that as a bedrock inside of their place are the most creative. They have the best cultures, and giving back is such a huge part of what makes them tick. And I can't imagine that that's not happening in your place.
It's just caring about people.
Yeah. Question? Mike down here? Oh, up there.
Hi, I'm Press Maxon. I'm a copywriter on the creative team. So my question is, how do you, being a multi-category brand, how do you choose a space to enter? Is it a massive amount of market research where you identify a need, or is it passion-based, sort of purely? And then my second part of that would be, what is the challenge of telling that story creatively to prospects, consumers, when you're offering so many different products?
It's, you know, we've said a lot, you know, we one day will make a toaster, there's a lot of things that we see for the brand. All of it's predicated on manufacturing, and having that expert like Sky to be able to understand not just design or how to make it, but also how to sell it, how to speak to that consumer specifically. It's that partner. We have that partner in watches. We have that partner in leather. It's entering a category is about a partnership, and it's about people. And like Sky said, when Sky came, it was also this mutual respect for her that, oh, she's one of us. This is a right partnership for us. And so it always comes down to that partnership of that person that can run and make that category, and not just make it in a frivolous way, but make it a product that can hold its own within its own category. So our bikes in the bike world are very well respected, as is our turntable, but when you put it within the whole mix of the company, it all works together, but they all work as individual parts as well. So
You have to have that whole group of people going, yeah, we want to make this.
right,
You have to feel that energy before you get started on something.
yeah. And yes, otherwise it won't make sense long term.
That's great.
It'll always struggle if it's not a unanimous.
But it's not a scientific process, if that's the question.
No, not at all. It's about passion. The
yeah,
whole company is
yeah.
about passion. It really is.
And, when we introduced the bikes at the first trade show, people were saying, watches, bikes, and
And they still do.
But when you walked into the opening of the first store, our flagship store, and you saw the design language across all the products, it made perfect sense. You weren't looking at one product anymore. You were looking at a unified vision that was somehow all the way down to the fixtures, because there's no prefab fixtures in our stores. You walk in there and you say, this is a place I want to hang out in. Because all the products look like they belong here, even though you've got audio over here, you've got leather, you've got jewelry, But when you see them together, it makes perfect sense.
Excellent. That's beautiful. Question? Oh, there's one down here. We'll get a mic to you at some point. Down the front row. Because it's the only row I can see hands.
Hi, I'm Scott Turnovitz from Ignite. It's a really interesting time for American manufacturing right now. I'm sure, Sky, that's some of what you were responding to with the complexity of building a bicycle. So you have components that are manufactured all around the world, and it's got to be hard to get raw cable, for example, that's made in America. I think the really neat thing is you guys are at the middle of this. You're sort of at the epicenter of what's going on at this point. If you could project out 5 years, what would you think the value proposition or sort of the role of American manufacturing starts to emerge to be, if you could future cast that?
Do you think this is going to take off? Will there be more of this? Will people do more of this?
I mean, I can only hope so.
Yeah.
I can only hope that, there are a lot of really small and large companies doing amazing things right now. And I think that our small part can only hopefully inspire people to do the same. I think the more that we do, the better off we are. So I don't know if we can project out, but we're probably the wrong people to talk about projections. We can tell you what color it'll be, though.
There's a ripple effect to what we're doing because we have a lot of suppliers we work with and vendors.
Yeah.
Right.
Our
The
journals,
boxes.
our boxes. I mean, it's crazy, but the fixture people,
Yeah.
The little widgets that I buy that, I can buy in the States, and all the little things we buy. And, in the case of Waterford, they've hired an extra welder. Okay.
Yeah.
So this ripple effect is,
You're only as good as your vendors, as your contract, as your people that help you. Same with us. A lot of our partners in the room here today, we are only as good together, as great as they can be with us and partnering with them. It's, great to watch that grow inside the city when we're working. I can imagine what it's like to just create and build those different places. Our watches come in a wooden box, which we developed very early on. And
we hadn't been there in probably a while. You know, we had this really great relationship. We created standards and hadn't visited in a little while. And so we went and visited, and all of a sudden they had hired 60 people just full-time making our boxes.
Wow.
Which was kind of, it was a very emotional sort of thing to realize that the ripple does touch so many, many different things around the country. And it was, we actually ended up making a video just sort of talking about that company, which was pretty cool.
That's great.
Journal guys, the
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah, from, there's a million stories around the company of just all of those companies that are helping support. As we are growing, so are they.
Excellent. That's beautiful. Question?
Hi, I have a microphone now.
Yeah.
Nadia Naderi with the Marketing User Experience team. I'm curious about your testing prototyping, and what was your sample size for testing the denim, and how do you modify that? Basically, what is the process of testing the market for a new design before the manufacturing?
I can speak to watches. I think, when we were building the watch factory, we made tens of thousands of movements. The movement is anywhere from 75 to 125 parts that are about the size of a nickel. And they built, I can't remember how many, it was an astonishing number of movements that never saw the light of day, but it was all about training and really creating a quality product. So the amount of training and testing and quality control that goes into every product is pretty extensive. How many bikes do you crash a year?
Well, we knew, I knew the engineering on the frame would be fine. I test everything to a European standard for fatigue and, ultimate failure. And we're using a material that's been proven for such a long time that I didn't have any doubt that we'd pass the tests. But are you talking more toward the market response? Or?
Yeah.
In regard to that one, it wasn't necessarily about the product, because it was more about can we support it across. It's about sales. It's about everything else. So some things just aren't the right fit, and that was more about a feeling than it was about market research.
But I think one of the benefits that we have is we have right now, 30 stores retail?
24.
24. We'll have 30 by the
End of this year.
So we have real-time feedback on sales every day. And that gives you, that's invaluable for what's selling at retail, as well as our website. So, our channels are so deep, wholesale, retail, direct sales, and all that sales info is coming in. So you're knowing what you're hitting, what's the home run and what's, something that you might phase out over time.
Exactly.
Because it's 100% integrated. You're making something, and then the next day you're selling it. So that's invaluable.
Do you have a lot of custom orders coming in, or is it you keeping up, or is there any of that? Or is it mostly just you pushing out what you're making?
On the bike side, we do custom one-off or a limited. On the watches, there's partnerships with different.
Yeah, we do partnerships, and we do special. We did a partnership with Ford and made a Mustang watch for them. We've done. We did we have a Great American series where we every year where we honor a great American, and so we've done Ford, Henry Ford, the Wright brothers, Muhammad Ali, Maya Angelou.
Oh, excellent.
And this year we just released Jackie Robinson.
Excellent. Question? The question out there?
Stop touching.
Over here? Got it.
Hi, I'm Eric Deichel. I work on the Flex team as a graphic designer.
Everyone knows in the industry what a flex team is. That's great. Thanks for announcing it.
I don't think we know that answer.
Great.
I'm going to ask a difficult question. I'm still trying to form it in my mind. My best friend I went to design school with, he voted for Trump, and I was shocked. But
half of why he'd voted for Trump was he was scared that America wasn't making anymore, and he thought that anything that would help or facilitate that was bigger than what it was for what it looked like. Do you see, since that time, more creation? Do you see more people being able to make? For instance, in San Francisco, I know we tried to make a BART train, and we found out that no one made trains in America anymore. So I'm just curious if there's something, I kind of see it in you guys. I know you guys are kind of like small batch design, but is there something greater going on? And is people not being able to make in America an actual a problem or a thing that you see? And are you trying to do anything about that? It's kind of loaded, I'm sorry, but.
So I'll answer it in a really not loaded way.
Good.
So.
Remember, he's on the flex team.
Yeah, so I'm not. I think there are a lot of, I said before, there's a lot of companies doing amazing things in this country, large and small, and I think everyone has the desire to make things in the United States, and a lot of manufacturing has moved overseas. And when we were developing our journals, we developed journals for almost 2 years. It was a very long process, and the company that we developed them with is a 100-year-old bookbinder. And it was a product they had never dealt with before. And when we got to the end of the process, we thought, our goal was to make a product that would be competitive in that marketplace and stand up to any journal in that world. And when we got to the end of it, we thought, oh, here's comes pricing, and we had all these bells and whistles. We needed this product to be amazing, and we got that product. We're very proud of it. Pricing came back, and it was actually competitive with China, and we were a little bit surprised. But the reality was that everyone, the bookbinder, ourselves, were all working towards that same goal, and anything is possible. You just have to have the desire and work really hard towards it. So that didn't answer that question, but I think that there are...
Good, it's an artful dodge. It was a fantastic,
Thank you.
Apolitical dodge.
I don't know. I think that, everyone wants the same thing. Manufacturing in this country is what makes this country amazing and great. And the reality is we can do anything here. You just have to have the passion and the desire to do it.
Awesome. I think that's true. Any further comment on that? Want to talk about the Comey interview last week?
I said to Daniel, we're not going there.
Okay, good.
We're not going there.
Anyone else from the Flex team with a brilliant political question?
Oh, I have a question.
Yes.
What's the Flex team?
Flex team is...
Are they the butt of all jokes?
No, they're not. In many ways, they are. The Flex team is a group of super talented people that we've yanked out of different places, put together so they can work on special projects and do things together.
Special ops.
Yeah, special ops. And or anything that comes in, because they got to get something done in the next 10 minutes. We just throw everything at them. The Flex team. Arizona. Anyway, what else do we got? We have time for one last question. Who's going to do it?
Todd Lynch. I'm a designer. So it's a similar question, or it's related, but hopefully simple. I think it's such a relevant topic, and we think about the future. We look back to the past. The craftsmanship that you guys are creating is absolutely beautiful. And how do you make that relevant or possible now in this changing climate? And San Francisco is known for technology, innovation. A lot of it's digital, so it doesn't have the hands tactile aspect. Have you talked about training those craftsmen and manufacturers, and how important that to me? I'm really impressed, and it's amazing that we're thinking about those who have those skills and finding ways to retrain them. Did you find any obstacles during that process? Are companies adverse to that? Do you have tips and tricks to show how you can retrain those who are skilled, who don't live in the digital world as much, and some of the other areas of the country where they have skills to apply to our products these days, and any learnings you could share with companies and how to create American companies that are in other industries other than San Francisco type digital worlds.
I think it has to start with, like a Sky, or, our partner in the watch factory is Rhonda. They're the only independently owned movement manufacturer in Switzerland. They are experts in the watch industry, building movements. They were our partner to train and build that factory up. Without that partner, we could not have done that. So it was really about having that expert to be able to train. There's people in the there are people in the factory like Tiana, who was on our first line. Tiana moved up. She trained in Switzerland. She's trained here. She's been trained. She's now a trainer of trainers. She's a certified trainer in Switzerland. So it's just taking the time and making sure that whoever is leading that charge is an expert in that industry, so that what you're teaching people and the craft that you're bringing back is exceptional.
Excellent. Well, you both are unbelievable inspirations. What you're doing is beautiful.
Thank you so much.
What
We're
you
really
build-
honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, we are just lucky to have you here.
Thank you.
And it has just been a pleasure to speak to you. And I tried to make you cry. I know you could have gotten there. But thank you so much for your time. We look forward to the next products you're going to bring out and watching you guys just inspire all of Detroit to maybe bring more of this back to life. Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, brother.